Welcome back guys to another episode of Tough Garage. What we're going to be working on today is the rear bar. I'm going to attempt to modify this rear bar and see if I can remove the tow bar recess. Let's see how we go. Along with removing the tow bar recess, as I want to do, I want to put a flush mount XF Falcon number plate light, and I also want to shorten the ends. So these ends here, I want to make them a little bit shorter. They're a little bit too long for my liking, so I'll probably try and bring them in a little bit closer to there, and also tuck the bar in. It sticks out too far. At the moment the brackets are a little loose. It's just sort of temporarily mounted there. The first thing I want to do though is mount the tail lights and see how things look in that perspective. Okay, so that's how it sits standard. It's not bad. The height's good. So you're keeping that body line going across the actual line of the bar. It's only sagging a little bit at the moment because the little clip here that goes on the side there I haven't put on yet. They're a bit of a bitch to put on and put off, and sometimes they snap because they're so old, so I'm not going to do that just yet. But that height, closing up that gap here, seems to be good. I'm happy with that. I'm not happy with the gap between that tail light panel and the bar itself. That can be closed up. Okay, let's see what we can do. Okay, that's the new spot where the bolts need to go, but these factory brackets have a captive nut on the back that's welded onto the actual bracket, and I don't have these nuts that are the right size for the bolts, so I'm going to have to use these nuts somehow. Just like that, we have these nuts. These nuts. Oh, yeah. Okay, and this is the rear bar after I've modified the where the bolts go for the brackets, for the mounting brackets. So it's tucked it up really nice. It's not actually touching the tail light panel, which is good. There's a gap there. Yeah, much better. That looks really good. I mean, you can see how far these protrude out. You know, not ideal. But so far it's looking better. I still maybe think I'll slice and dice this because it's a little fat. I wouldn't mind taking maybe 10 or 15 mil off that and bringing them a little bit closer to the tail light panel. I still think they stick out too far for the look of the car anyway. What I want to try and do here, I'll put some tape down to try and let my eye catch. What I would want to do is to bring in this bar a little bit closer towards the car. It's a little bit, sits out a little bit too far. I've set it at 25 mil and then it was too much. I set it at 15 mil now, and it seems to be a good compromise with distance. I'll show you what my eye sort of catches, which is nice. So you can see the angle there. From here, it sort of meets really nicely there like that. I mean, yeah, whatever, but it's just something that I like to look at and see, and it does sort of follow a little bit better than it's sitting out too far, and that's with the bar tucked in as hard as it'll go. So you can imagine it was originally sitting out here somewhere. It's just ridiculous. So I'll chop that out. I have to sort of investigate how I'm going to go about it. I'm thinking of cutting it here and moving that forward, and that'll get me what I'm after. But it's got a little bit of a slope downwards here, so I've got to keep that slope, and everything's got to meet up exactly so you don't get little steps and stuff like that in the bar. The other thing I want to try and do is, I'm not sure, I want to shorten up the ends. They are way too long, but I don't know if I want to do it straight or a little bit of an angle, or follow this angle of the tail light, or follow the bar's original angle, which is that way. So I'll just show you a couple of photos I've taken that I've taken up that angle to see, you know, what looks best. The benefit I have if I keep the original bar angle is, of course, you just cut it, bring it in, and plastic weld it again or whatever, join the two sides, however they may be, and it keeps things simple. If I'm making a new shape where it's a bit more upright instead of being on an angle, or it's that angle that way, I would probably have to use a spare front bar and the opposite end to create that angle. I don't know if they're the same shape through here. So yeah, it gets a bit tricky. I'm leaning more towards keeping it a little bit simple and keeping the original angle, just shortening it quite a distance. It's way too long, it looks ridiculous. Anyway, here's another thing I want to show you guys. I just acquired recently from eBay. And check this box out, look how old it is. Unreal, I love this sort of stuff. It's new old stock, so it's a tail light to replace this aftermarket tail light that I have here. So the fit and finish of this tail light compared to an original one, this is the original one here, you can see just in the colour, you see the difference in colour. The aftermarket ones seem to fade, or I don't know what happens with them, why they start to sort of, the orange starts to die off on them, sort of thing. This is an original one, it's in really good nick, but I'll just get you to pay attention to the actual fit. So see how it sort of sits really nice, it sort of really hugs that area there, and here it just lines up really, really nicely. Now have a look at this thing. I don't know if it's the foam behind it, it's got like new foam that comes with it or whatever, and it's probably a bit too thick. I'm not sure if that's what the actual issue is, but it sits out a lot more and it's just a little funky, you know. So come and check this thing out. Just let me open the box up for you guys. Yeah, so there it is there. It's a very nice, I like. There's only one little defect. I'll just show you what that is. See where the Ford badge is meant to be? I'm pretty sure that's meant to be the Ford badge, because the other tail light has it. It's got like as if it's had a little burn, like someone's put a soldering iron to the Ford badge. It's had a little melted area there. Anyway, I got back to the guy that I bought it off and said, look, it's got a little bit of a defect. Can you maybe take some money off, because I've got to repair it, which I'm yet to know how I'm going to go about it, if I'm going to use some epoxy or what I'm going to do to fill it in. But this is the story that he got back to me. Now I'd like to know if anyone knows if that story is real, if that's what they did. They got rid of the Hella symbol, badge, whatever, and they weren't allowed to display it or something like that. Because as far as I know, that's meant to be Ford on there. If anyone's heard this before, or look, For me, I call bullshit massive, massive, massive amounts of bullshit. Like, fuck, man. Really? You're gonna be putting a light on a car, selling it as a brand new car, and it's gonna have this little fucking... What the fuck, right? Anyway. Either way, you can't get these things. You can't get them brand new. I mean, wow, right? So, I've got to live with it, and I'll sort it out. Either way, these things are going to get a coat of clear, so I'll give them a sand. I don't like the little stampings or castings or whatever that are left on the tail lights, especially when you go to polish them, you know, and stuff like that. The polish it grabs all on these areas. You get a little bit of residue and stuff like that. So I'm going to give them a wet sand and then coat them both in clear, and they should come both up really, really nice, you know, especially the old one. I think after a really good clean and the same sort of treatment, it should come up looking like the other one, you know. So it's the only part that I've got to sort of be worried about is the white part, or the clear part, I should say. If I can get that the same as that one, then I'm good to go. But it's a good light. Yeah, there's no chips, there's no crazing. Sometimes you get on the corners here and stuff like that. The back of it's really, really nice as well. All the actual housing for the bulbs is good and everything, and the foam seems to be thinner and the correct size, I should say. So I'm going to fit that up and see how that looks, and yeah, pretty happy. Another piece of the puzzle. Yeah, the difference is massive. Have a look. Look how nice it fits. You know, really good everywhere. All the gaps are really nice. That's with just, you know, one screw and one nut on there. It's still got a lot more mounting nuts to go, and it'll, you know, bring it in maybe a little bit closer. It seems a bit stiff, but so much better. Yeah, heaps nicer. So that's pretty much what we're up to, guys. Got to make a decision on which way I'm going to cut these side pieces. Now let me know in the comments which way you would do it. Anyway, that's it for this episode, guys. Catch us on the next one.